Hello again and welcome, my dear friends. I'm Ryan Campbell. I'm your host today for the conversation, and today we're joined by a very special guest, my friend Aaron Rasmussen.
Yes.
Aaron, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's
All right.
great to be here.
Well, Aaron, you're here. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, right?
Yes.
But you are a combat Army veteran,
Yes.
and hello again and welcome, my dear friends. I am Ryan Campbell. I'm your host today for the conversation, and today we're joined by a very special guest, my friend Aaron Rasmussen.
Yes.
Aaron, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's
All right.
great to be here.
Well, Aaron, you're here. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, right?
Yes.
But you are a combat Army veteran, and I know you're involved in a lot of different groups, but I would say it's fair to say a lot of your time is focused on Veterans Affairs in Tuolumne County. Is that right?
Yes.
So, well, can you tell me a little bit about that? I mean, obviously you served in the Army, but when was your service, and how did you get interested in kind of giving back to the veterans in Tuolumne County?
So I was born and raised in Tuolumne. I'm born in Sonora, I have to say, but raised in Tuolumne. And my dad was a Vietnam era veteran. And so from a young age, I wanted to be either a veteran or a police officer, crawling around in the grass. And when I got to high school, we still had the ROTC program, Air Force ROTC program at Somerville High School. So that was like my goal, to get to that program. Spent 4 years in ROTC at Somerville High School. Great teachers. And then went right into the Army Reserves after that. And I was in the Army Reserves and the Civil Service for 12 years.
Yeah, and you served in Iraq, right?
Yes, served 11 months in Iraq from 2004 to 2005. I graduated in 2001. So it was a couple years just after graduation.
Yeah. And you're a big time local guy. You're definitely into a lot of different local organizations beyond just veterans. I wrote a couple down. So you're in the Historic Preservation Review Committee.
Yes.
You're a member of the Tuolumne Parks and Rec District Board.
Yes.
You also are with the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the 4748 chapter.
Yes.
And what are some of the other groups that you're involved
Well, I'm also involved with American Legion 58 here in Sonora. Also involved with AVVA, Associate Vietnam Veterans of America. My dad being a Vietnam veteran helped me qualify for that as well. Also, Vets Helping Vets, Sonora Vets Helping Vets, started by Russell Carpenter in 2013. We're keeping that alive in his memory, and it's a different veterans organization, as in that it's more fundamental to supporting all the veterans activities. Also, I do a little work with Horses of Warriors out of Jamestown. I've seen them grow and help them become the great organization that they are today.
Now, can you explain what that is for somebody that isn't familiar?
So Horses of Warriors is a great equine therapy program, but they've been donated a fair amount of property out in Jamestown, so they have lots of riding trails, areas to go camping. They really specialize in, obviously, horse care and therapy with horses, and that is not just inclusive to veterans, it's all first responders. So that is a special program where it is mainly supported and ran by military, but we love first responders as well.
And so the idea is that working with horses and just kind of being around them, and that it can help people suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah. I mean, there's many ways to deal with military stress or first responder stress. And, it's healthy to have, how do I say, hobbies, and if you like to be out in nature and you like to be around animals, that is a great program.
So I've heard this in the past, and I don't know if it's true or not. I've heard that Tuolumne County has the highest per capita veteran population in all the 58 counties of California. Is that true?
Yes. Okay. I mean, not numbers wise, but percentage wise, we have a lot.
So you're more likely to run into a veteran here than anywhere else.
Yes, and there's a lot of great things that our community, Tuolumne County, provides to make the atmosphere, right? So most military veterans like space, right? I have 3 acres, and I'm blessed to have the property I do have that gives me a little just more ease that someone's with my PTSD and so forth. So being in Tuolumne County, having our open spaces, having the forest right next to us, having the ability to still go out and hunt, shoot, camp, those are things that we like to do, and they're right available to us. Sometimes for like me personally, right out my back door. Others it's just 10-15 minute drive away to an atmosphere that's an outside atmosphere, which most veterans like. The other thing too is small knit communities. We, in a big city or big populace, we kind of feel lost or uncomfortable. So having a small community that we do have is very comfortable. It's not too big, it's not too small. We have a lot of amenities not too far from us. So raising kids, family. I mean, this is the Tuolumne County provides such a blessing and a blessed opportunity, to live and thrive, especially for vets. So yeah, it's one of the reasons why we have a high percentage here. One of the also, it's good to note that Tuolumne County, the Board of Supervisors and our government have supported a great veteran service office, which is very vital to our retirement, our medical retirement, healthcare, and all of our benefits. So, I mean, that alone is probably very pivotal and so important for our veterans community, because we don't have to go to a different county. We don't have to go very far. We literally have a great VSO right here in our community as well. So that's vital. It also brings in obviously economics to the county as well.
Yeah. And talking, so Debbie Eskew runs that the veterans office in the county, and talking to her, there's so many veterans that are entitled to benefits that they don't take advantage of. That's the thing that surprises me. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think
because we do a lot for veterans. Maybe it's not never going to be enough, but there are a lot of programs to help veterans, and sometimes it's hard to get guys involved.
I think there's, throughout any type of group of individuals, you're gonna have like three types of people. The one person that kind of sits in the back, doesn't want to participate, and those are a lot of the veterans that don't want to take advantage of the benefits because maybe they personally don't feel like they've earned it, or personally feel like they're doing okay. They don't want to take away from somebody else maybe getting benefits, right? There's that mentality. And then there's the mentality of those veterans that are involved, like myself, and trying to make it work for everyone. And then, unfortunately, there are a percentage of veterans that take advantage of the system. And sometimes you see that, like, on the corner, homeless people saying that they're veterans. As a small community, we're very direct in finding out who that veteran is, get them down to the VSO, make sure they're actually a veteran, and we can kind of tell right away whether they're not or not. Because if you're a veteran in today's society, whether it's in this community or anywhere in America, you have a multitude of support mechanisms to help you be successful. It's just how successful do you want to be,
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of touched on homelessness and how that impacts veterans. It's kind of a big indicator about whether or not you're homeless is whether you're a veteran. They have much higher risk. Do you see that in our county, that there are a lot of homeless vets, or do we have a support network for that?
We definitely have a support network. If there is a homeless vet, we will scoop him up and we will get him housing. We'll get him everything he needs. Like if there's a homeless vet that wants to be helped, he will be helped. You get into the problem with just generalized homelessness, whether it's a vet or not. These are people that might have mental issues, that they're incapable of making positive decisions. They might have, there's a probably drug abuse that's involved, some type of disability. And so they get in this mindset of they just want to be this way. I know a Pacific veteran who is not homeless, but he technically is homeless. But what he does is he at least has an RV. He lives out in the forest. He usually tries to get a job with the Forest Service taking care of a campground. But if he can't, he's just out there camping with his dog. And he'll come in about once a month and get his supplies. So is he homeless? Not really, but he's taking care of himself.
Yeah, but it's also a very tenuous way to live. Because if you get a healthcare issue, or you break your leg or something, things happen.
At the very least, he has a connection with me, and if we don't hear from him, we're calling around and, hey, have you seen JJ? Where is she? So I mean, I think that's the biggest thing for veterans, and if you're a veteran and you're not involved in one of our organizations, you're doing a great disservice to yourself and your family, especially. You need to be involved. You need to keep keep the camaraderie. And camaraderie is, to me, in definition, is we keep in things that we have in common, you know, and part of that is taking care of one another the best of our abilities. I mean, and then we also emulate that and be that example for the community to do the same thing. Love your neighbor, you know, like we love our friends and our family.
Yeah. There's a lot of veterans that don't talk about their experience. And you know, to your credit, you know, you have a YouTube channel, you talk about these things, you're pretty open about it. But I just, you know, my dad was an Army veteran and served during the Vietnam War. And I didn't even know he had military service until I saw a picture of him in his dress uniform, you know, old black and white picture. And I was probably, you know, 10 or 12 years old at that time, by the time I even knew that he had served. And it's just, why do you think that is? Why do you think that, especially combat veterans, there's just kind of this desire to leave it all behind you and not talk about it?
It's not that your dad was leaving it behind him. I feel he had come to a pass, which most of us do, of like, okay, we've thought about this problem long enough. We've put it in the right place. And even myself, like, I don't like to talk about the specifics of my service, only because it hurts, because there's a lot of pain and hurt. Like, you don't ask victims every day to talk about what happened to them. But to every veteran and every first responder needs whatever help they need to get to a point where they can kind of put it in the past and move forward. Like, I look at it like I have earned and gained a lot of skills and experience in the military from management, leadership, teamwork, and that is what I would try to focus on moving forward. Those are things that I can help guide and give to my community and help other people with. The traumatic events, though they shaped me, may they not disrupt my future, you know, and it's definitely a struggle that every veteran and first responder has to deal with in some capacity. And unfortunately, in some ways, those that don't deal with them properly, you know, have issues. One of kind of leads me to a thought of the 22 wall project that I'm rolling out.
What's that?
So back in, and this is a very important point. So back in 2017, obviously we have suicide is more prevalent in the veterans community, but there's a lot of things that are more there's a lot of things more prevalent in the veterans community, not just suicide, but cancer, you know, divorce, relationship issues, mental and physical issues. It's just a high percentage, right? Because it's just part of the job. Essentially, it's leftovers, unfortunately. Right. So back in 2017, I was having a discussion with a local veteran about my age, and he was coming from a place of, when it came to suicide, like, he was belittling or looking down on our veterans that were committed suicide. Like, they were cowards, they gave up, you know, that type of mentality. And there's still, you know, there's something to be said about that. I understand. Yeah.
There's still a lot of stigma around it.
Yeah, there's some stigma around it. And I kind of sat back and I thought to myself, like, you know, a lot of these guys that have committed suicide, they're my friends. I have 7 personal friends.
Really?
And one of them being a Vietnam vet, just recently. I love them and I wanted to honor them. They had a great service, you know, to our country. Though they may have lost what we kind of think lost a personal battle here, should never negate their who they are as a person. Yeah. So I started thinking, well, how can I honor these guys? And, you know, it reminded me of the Vietnam moving wall that we have. I wanted to do a virtual wall similar to like Facebook, where we can, and this is going to be user based. So we actually need people to go to this website, submit a picture, submit information, talk about them, give them a little bio, and it'll be interactive where we can make these connections of other people that knew them. They can comment and they can add pictures, and so we can build connections with those individuals, honor them. I have like a 4-point. It's 22 Wall is going to honor our servicemen who committed suicide or from suicide tendencies. It's not just some suicides. You can say, hey, look, obviously he might have shot himself purposely, but there's other activities like drinking themselves to death, not taking their medications, not taking care of themselves, driving like fast cars.
Self-destructive behavior.
Very self-destructive issues. Second is to make connections with their friends, loved ones, families that might have known them, to build because healing is part of people bearing some of the grief with you, whether it's grief or even sharing positive things, support mechanism. Third, is there's a part of data collection that I want to focus on. And I say data collection, I don't mean like I want people's private information, but we want to see if there's any connections, like how, real time, real life information going, hey, is there an issue with Army? Is there an issue with certain ways they're doing this? Is there certain underlying issues that we can see as a community, and maybe a medical a side of the house, see how we can address those things. And then fourthly, obviously provide some type of suicide awareness information. But this is going to go nationwide. This is, like I said, I've been dreaming about it since 2017. We've got level 1 web design, working on it right now. It should probably be rolled out in another month or so. Be ready for Suicide Awareness Month. And I want to see this go nationwide, worldwide. People get on there, post their loved ones, get the information on there, make the connection. It's going to be very simple, 22wall.org.
Cool.
Yeah, great project. And I'd be remiss to say that Sonora Area Foundation, thanks to them, they gave us a grant in 2021 of $5,500 to seed this program. So Sonora Area Foundation, and our community is making right now going to be a big nationwide website.
Yeah, and so is that up right now, or is that's something
it's coming? If you go to 22 website, you'll see a page that says coming soon. Okay. But probably by the end of this month into June, it'll actually start working.
That's great.
And yeah.
What else are you working on?
We've right now. I mean, I've got a lot going on. We've got Memorial Day coming up. I'd be remiss to say Luke's Run is next Saturday, May 20th. So if you'd like to go out and run, exercise, Luke's Run. He was a local veteran that passed away in a plane crash in Italy. May 20th, join Luke's Run. We got Memorial Day coming up, the 29th at Twain Hart at 11 a.m. And then we have the 30th at Carter Cemetery at 10 a.m. And that weekend, there's usually Memorial Day in Columbia and Mountain Shadows. So those are this month's activities. The VFW in Tuolumne sponsors the Tuolumne Lumber Jubilee, which is coming up in June. They're a good nonprofit to support that community event. Biggest thing that happens in Tuolumne.
That's something else you're kind of known for there, Aaron.
Right? Yeah.
It's like you've been a Lumber Jubilee guy as long as I think I've known you.
About 2017, I got involved. After about the time I graduated from Columbia College with forestry and natural resources in 2018. So I got involved in the logging and sports in 2017. But logging actually is huge in my family. My dad was a timber faller for a short time. His dad retired as a timber faller. My other dad was a truck driver, but my grandfather, he retired from logging trucks. And then my great-great-grandfather, he was logging trucks over the pass by horses, And then my mom's grandfather was a cat mechanic for West Soviet logging mill. So being a veteran is part of my life, but also the timber industry is a big part of my life too.
Yeah. Well, I know that Jubilee it's a big event.
Yeah.
So
when the last cleated tug of wars in the world. There's only one similar to it, and that's in New Zealand, and we're actually trying to get that team over here. It'd be really cool to get them over here.
So a cleated tug of war. I mean, okay, so I'm picturing, so you have the spikes on your feet, for climbing trees, right? What is a cleated tug of war?
A cleated tug of war it's similar to if you think about like a railroad track. And you have cleats in there. Obviously, we have more cleats than just railroad track might have. And what that does with the cleats is like there's no slippage, So when those guys are pulling and they're getting up in those cleats, like it was banned from the Olympics in 1935 because it was so dangerous, because if you don't do the technique right, you'll blow your knees out, break a leg. So it's very, very physical. It's not for the lighthearted. In 1935 is when the Jubilee started. The same year it was banned, from the World Olympics, and we've kept that going. We haven't found another cleated tug of war anywhere else in the world. We're on Wikipedia, so hopefully, if someone says they are, they can connect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the only.
Is that your favorite event?
It's not necessarily my favorite, but it's definitely the traditionally it is the biggest.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite event is, I'd have to say, between axe throwing and the Bull of the Woods, boxing on the log.
That's a popular.
Yeah,
That's like that's the
It's right before the tug of war. It's like
Okay.
the top, you know. But throwing,
That's boxing on a log is,
yeah,
it's pretty easy to describe what that is. You're boxing,
yeah,
standing on a log.
yeah. Best 3 out of 3, best 2 out of 3 fall.
Yeah.
You know, so it gets wild. We've had Tyler Domser has been the bull of the woods for years now. No one's been able to knock him off. And one year, Jaron Brandon, he was in the final. Like, it was to see him, Jaron Brandon, to go through the ranks. That was pretty cool, man. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a good time.
Yep. So see, supervisors, they can,
Yeah, get in there.
they can get in there too.
Yeah, it's for all the community.
So, we touched on it a little bit. You have a YouTube channel. It's Sergeant R.
Yeah.
On YouTube. What do you talk about on there?
I talk mainly. I do veterans issues. I just had a really good talk about the 22 wall. And with Ed McCollin from Operation Creekside. This is another great program where they are building memorial benches for the families of those that have committed suicide. And he's building these benches. We have a builder here locally in Sonora, one on the East Coast, and they're delivering benches across America. And that is a very, very special program too. So I talked about that on my YouTube channel. I've done a little bit of politics on there. I try to put up our ceremonies that we do with veterans and stuff. So it's just a way to connect, communicate.
I'm going to assume you and I are pretty close to the same age. It's something that I really notice about people of our generation, that there's just not that desire to give back to the community. And it's not that I'm saying that people our age don't want to. It's that they're working, they're trying to make ends meet. You know, it takes 2 parents to support, a household working. And it's just, there's not that extra time to give back to your community as much as there maybe was in the past. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I have a rose-colored glasses about the past, but it seems like there was more civic engagement among people that were in the prime working years of their life than there is now.
You know, when you think about our community, one of the reasons what makes our community so good, it's not the government, necessarily. It's the people in our community being involved, right? So as people don't become involved with their community, our community is going to start fading, and it's not going to be as good as it could be. Because, we'll have a good government if we have good community involvement. You can't have good government without good community involvement. Whether it's sitting on a school board. I mean, school boards are needing people to sit on them. A lot of the committees in the county need people to sit on them. We don't have full boards. That's one of the arguments in Tuolumne, whether or not to go with the CSD is, do we have enough involvement? Most of the meetings I go to, I might have 1 or 2 community members. We need that involvement. If you love your community, get involved. And it's not like it's gonna cost you a lot. You're gonna gain so much more. It's an investment. It's one thing to say I'm busy with work and I come home, I'm tired. You really got to push through, get involved somehow, because there may be a day you're going to come home and it's not going to be the community that you're comfortable with anymore because you weren't paying attention.
You hit the nail on the head there. And you mentioned relationships too. That's the thing that I really see strongly is that I know you're around and you're involved in so many different things. You and I have worked on lots of stuff together. But generally the people that we see that are volunteering their time and in the community, that generally are not younger. I don't feel like I'm a very young person, but in these kind of groups that are active in the community, we are. And if somebody has an issue and they want to see something change in the community, and all of a sudden they're really engaged on this one issue, and then I kind of look and I say, okay, what else are you interested in? Have you been involved in anything else in the community? Are you just concerned about this one issue and then that's it, and then you're going to back off? You build this credibility of service to your community to where I know Aaron, he's involved in all these different things. He has a concern about an issue. I'm going to listen to that because I know where your heart is. And it's just, that's kind of where you build these relationships, and we have to have a large enough bench of people who have built these kind of relationships and built this reputation of community service to where we can kind of all trust where everybody's at,